Hello children, warm greetings. Today I'll be taking up difference between living beings and non-living beings. So tell me, what are some of the difference between living being and non-living being? Let's write it down. As you tell me, I will be writing it down. Okay. Living things. Who are the living things? Can you tell me? It can be plants, it can be animals. Now how would you differentiate between a living thing such as me or a living thing between you can say you can take any of the this is a non-living thing. So how would you differentiate between that? So let's write that down. Living things breathe, living things can move, living things grow, living things can excrete, living things reproduce. There can be many more of, but we'll be doing these as well as one more difference, and that is living things respond. Can you see? Living things can respond. Now, what do you understand by respond? As you know, in class you respond, you give a reply to certain things. Now you respond to certain things, and what are those? You respond to stimuli. Living things respond to stimuli. Now the big question is, what is stimuli? Now when we speak about stimuli, we are speaking about stimuli are those things which causes response. You can understand stimuli as questions. Stimuli is a plural of stimulus, and it is basically the questions for which there is response. Now, who asks those questions and to whom? That is the big question here. When we are talking about stimuli, I am saying stimuli is a kind of question, and this question is to be answered by living bodies. This stimuli is acting as a question, and this question is to be answered by living beings, which are plants or animals. So when you make a response, that means you are responding to a question, and here the question is the stimuli. So stimuli are basically questions which are being asked to the body, living body, be it plant or animal, and for that the living body makes a response. Now, who asks those questions? Who makes those stimuli, or who gives those stimuli? It is the environment. The environment, that is the surroundings. They pose a question they ask a question to the human body or to the living body, plant or animal body. Now the second question is, who takes those questions and how? How does the human body, how does the living body takes those stimuli and makes a response? So how do they take it? They take it via or through their sense organs. So I'll be talking about the sense organs. In order to understand stimuli, you have to understand the concept of sense organs. So what are sense organs? Our body has certain sense organs. Now those sense organs are eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and the skin. These 5 sense organs takes the stimuli or the questions that are made by the environment. It can be the question of, I'll be giving example of some of the stimulus. Stimulus is singular for stimuli, but you have to understand that stimuli or stimulus are questions which are given to the body, and the body picks up those questions via these sense organs, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, the skin. They pick up those questions, they pick up the stimuli, and then it makes suitable response. And this is one of the biggest difference between living being and a non-living being. It cannot make any response. We can make response to or against stimuli, and for that our body has sense organs. These sense organs are those external features, external organs which pick up the stimuli from the environment, and then comes the inner part of the body. Those questions, once they are picked up by these sense organs, which are the outermost organs because they are in touch with the environment, once these organs pick up the stimuli, the questions from the environment, they are passed to the receptors. They are passed to the receptors. Now what are receptors? Receptors are tiny nerve cells which are attached to these sense organs. In order to pick up the stimulus, okay, and to make suitable response through the brain, you need the help of the in-between processes, in-between things, and in-between things are the receptors. So these receptors, they take in the stimulus, okay, and then they take these stimulus is passed through the receptors to the brain, and the brain is linked with the spinal cord. So these receptors from the brain to the spinal cord, these receptors are linked. So how does the stimulus pass? First phase is the sense organs. Second phase is the receptors. And third phase is the brain, which is the part of the central nervous system, the brain and the spinal cord. The spinal cord is the part, it's a thin thread-like structure which is passing through our backbone. It is being protected by the bones. It's a very soft tissue, soft material. Our brain is linked with our spinal cord, and they are all protected in bony cages. Our brain is protected in the skull, by the skull, and our spinal cord, which is a thin thread-like structure, very thin, very delicate, very soft, it is protected by the backbone. The bones are stronger. So these two forms the central nervous system. So what happens is that these receptors, which are the nerves which are connected to the sense organs, they take the messages, okay, or you can say the stimuli, convert it into messages and pass it to the brain. The brain will process the answer. The brain will find out the answer, and then it will, through another set of nerve fibers or nerve cells, you can say, the answer is sent, and then we make suitable response. For example, if I pinch myself, I remove my hand. If I pinch myself, I remove my hand. This is a glass of milk and it's very hot. It is very hot. This is a glass of milk, okay, and it is very hot. Now if I touch it by chance, I will be removing my hand if I touch it. Now this touch, this hot glass of milk is the stimulus. My skin is the sense organ, and the response is I'm removing it. The response is that I'm removing my hand. So the stimulus is this hot glass. Of course it is not that hot, I'm able to touch it with my hand, but I'm giving you an example that this is a hot and moreover we can touch it with our palms, but with our skin, when we touch it here, it becomes very hot. We at once remove our hands. This is the response we are making, and this is the stimulus. The hot touch is the stimulus, and removing our hand is the response, and in between comes the receptors. So it starts with the stimulus, then comes the sense organ, which is the skin, then comes the receptor, which is a part of the internal organ, then the messages are goes to the brain. The brain will, okay, I've touched, and it is a kind of reflex action. So even the brain is not involved, the spinal cord is. The spinal cord will take a decision, and quickly within split seconds you'll remove your hand. So I think I have been able to make it very clear ki what is a stimulus, okay, and what is a receptor. So it is very important to understand the abstract as well as the concrete. Abstract is that there is a question or a stimulus. Stimulus, I have told, it is a question mark given by the environment, and who picks up this question mark? Who picks up that question? These sense organs, our eyes, our ears, our nose, our mouth, and our skin. Skin is the biggest sense organ, children. So they are always picking up stimulus from the environment, and if that stimulus is harmful, even if we see a dog barking or running after us, we'll make a response, we'll start running. So what do we see? We are seeing it with our eyes. Even if we smell something bad, that is another stimulus. We'll just remove our face from there, or we'll put a handkerchief. So these are continuously, the sense organs are very active. They are outside our body. They are external organs. They pick up the stimulus from the environment, and the inside the body, which is the receptors, they are tiny nerve cells which are attached to the sense organs. They take the response, they take the messages, that is the questions, and they help in sending to the brain. Now if you are, suppose another response I can give you is like, I can give you one question paper. If I give you one question paper to solve, right, you are, if I give you one question paper to solve, this is also a stimulus, and you are seeing it with your eyes. You are seeing it with your eyes, and then the receptors are taking those answers. Inside the body the processing happens, and the receptors is taking the messages to the brain, and the brain is calculating. You're taking maths or you're taking any other things, okay, this is rational number, and your brain is calculating, and the brain is trying to process the answer, and then the brain gives you the answer, and you start writing with your hands, which is the motor nerves. One is the sensory nerves, which takes the questions, and the motor sensory nerves and motor nerves will bring back the question. So it's a two-way process, which I'll take up in higher classes, but as of now I think I have tried to make this concept clear. What is stimulus, and how do we receive it? Via our sense organs, then the receptors, which is the mid part, and then it goes either to the brain or to the spinal cord. Sometimes we don't think, we make the response. For example, a ball is coming. If I throw a ball at you, at once you'll move your head. At that time the brain is not making any response, the spinal cord is making the response. That is called reflex action. The reflex action is also you can say a response to stimuli condition, wherein at once you, without thinking, you make a response, or you make and give an answer without thinking. This is for survival, and this is the very nature of living beings, that living beings respond. The response can be slow, the response can be fast. but it is always for their own growth and their benefit. And that is the basic difference between living and non-living things. Now, I'll make the video short. Even plants make response to stimuli. Yes, even plants make response to stimuli, and this I'm going to demonstrate in front of you quickly, so that there is you are not. Now, first is let me quickly draw the plant for you. Okay, this is a pot, and here is a plant growing. Okay, the plant is growing. I'll make it quickly. Suppose the sun is coming from this side. The sun is coming from this side. Okay, so the plant will start growing towards that side, because the plant likes the sun. The plant, the shoot part, the shoot, that is the upper part of the plant, they like the sun, they like the light. So it will start slowly, it will start growing towards the light. This is the response they make. Similarly, one more example which I can understand and I can give you is the the touch me not plants. Touch me not plants. Okay. Now the touch me not plants are some tiny hedges. They can be found as shrubs, right? And when you touch it, at once it droops. It is called Mimosa pudica. This is also a response. Now they are also living beings. Plants are also living beings, but the only difference is that their response is slow. They don't have a brain. They don't have a spinal cord, but they have certain things which I'll be explaining in other classes. But they also make a response, and hence the response is slow because of the not presence of because of the absence of brain and the spinal cord. We make our response fast. If a good dog barks at us, we may run. All right. If we touch anything hot plate, we remove our hands. Our response is fast, but plant's response is slow, but still it is there. So these are the basic difference between you can say living and non-living. Living beings show response to stimuli, whether it is animals or whether it is plants. In the case of animals, it can be slow and fast, but in the case of plants, it is slow, but it is very much there. And that's all for today. Thank you, and bye-bye, and have a good learning time. God bless you all.